Hi everyone, my name is James Donaldson from Get Active Coaching, and I'm here to talk to you today about an introduction into calisthenics. So I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of information about the what's behind calisthenics and what it means. The word originates from ancient Greek kalos, which can sound a little bit too fancy for what we're doing, but basically it means beauty and strength. Kalos, beauty and strength. And that's all that calisthenics is. It's a form of bodyweight training which involves you performing movements which are sometimes gravity defying, other times are more simple, but it's really focused on technique and demonstrating control over your body. And I've been practicing calisthenics for about 4 or 5 years. I really took to it at a time in my life when I wasn't training. I didn't want to go to the gym. I felt the gym atmosphere was really intimidating. And all of a sudden I found on Instagram this word called calisthenics, and these people were doing handstands and muscle ups and all these incredible exercises that most of them I can't even do yet. But what really appealed to me from a health and well-being perspective was the fact that these exercises could be done anywhere in the world, whether I was in a hotel room, in my house, I'm currently in my garage right now, or the garden or a public park. All I would need was a bit of floor space and sometimes a few pieces of static equipment, not gym equipment. I don't need weights particularly. I can add weight to the exercises that I'm doing, but generally I just need somewhere where I can move and control my body. I treat calisthenics in a really mindful way. Ever since I've been doing it, I've stopped using music for working out because I like to concentrate and feel what my body is doing and try to pay attention to how I can improve my movements and work on them to be able to work up to the more advanced progressions. But don't worry, today we're not going to be doing anything that's too fancy or too exciting. I'm just going to try to give an overview of some of the basic floor strength movements that are involved in calisthenics. But before I do, you can see that where the space I'm in, I'm just on a mat. It's just a simple workout mat, and all we're going to be doing is doing some floor-based exercises today. You can see behind me I've got 2 pieces of equipment. I have a pull-up bar and some dip bars here. These pull-up bars into the wall, and the dip bars are portable. I can move them anywhere I want. And basically that's about as much equipment as I use for calisthenics. Different pull-up bars, freestanding ones, the ones that you're more likely to see in the gym are sometimes more preferable for the advanced progressions. But for the purposes that my general training, I just use the pull-up bar on the wall here. So you don't need a lot to get involved in calisthenics. I would say you don't need anything at all until you're ready to try and perform a pull-up or a dip exercise. Today we're going to be working on push-ups and a little bit of hand balancing. So that's why I'm saying you're only going to need the floor space that I'm in here today. So everyone might think, yeah, great, I've done push-ups before, they're boring. But when we treat them a bit more mindfully and attach a calisthenics approach towards doing push-ups, there's probably a lot of corrections that you can use to develop the strength to be able to progress your push-ups. Or if you're someone who's never been able to do one, maybe you can just do them on your knees, a half push-up. Maybe we can start to analyze some of the weaknesses or some of the technique flaws that can allow you to get to your full push-up. But before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up here today. So I've got 4 warm-up exercises and 4 main exercises to go through as well. So all you're going to need is your gym clothes, however you want to wear. If you're in the house, you can be bare feet. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. Just give yourself a little bit of space to work it. The first warm-up exercise we're going to do is called extended child's pose. If you've done any yoga before, or anyone you know does yoga, you might have seen this or heard about this before. So there is probably quite a lot of crossover between yoga and calisthenics, especially for physical preparation, warm-ups and cool-downs. Anything at all that we can stretch out and move your body in a different way. So for the extended child's pose, all I'm going to ask you to do is come down onto your mat, onto your knees. And what I'm going to do behind my body here, I'm just going to open up my legs. I'm touching my toes at the back. And as I drop down to the floor, I'm just going to walk away from my knees and try and let my chest drop to the floor. This is as good an activity for warm-up as it is for cool-down or just general stretching if you feel you need to relax. So I'm going to take 3 deep breaths as part of this stretch, and each time I'm going to try and fall closer to the mat. Okay. Now, it's a very relaxing exercise, but it's very good for your chest because we're actually extending our arms up above our head, which is not something a lot of people do. You might find there is tightness. So now I'm extending my arms this way. I can get quite far back. You might not be able to do so. You can get quite a lot of tightness through your chest. Next exercise, we're going to go with the chest again, but this time we're going to go into a really wide shape. So in a normal push-up, I'll be on my knees here. I'm just going to open my arms right out to the side, and I'm just going to drop down to the floor. I'm just letting gravity stretch out my chest to the side. You might want to find a bit of a wider hand placement. You can also do this stretch in between a door frame. So if you can have your door frame sort of like this, all you're going to do is step through the door frame and allow the frame of the door to bring your arms backwards, and you're going to get a stretch down the side. But for the sake of today, because we're on the floor, I'm going to stick to being on the floor. So nice and wide, and just lean down into the ground and feel the stretch through your shoulders and your chest. Now, the third warm-up exercise, I'm going to come right side on so you can see. We're going to do a little yoga exercise called a cat stretch, and this is a really good stretch for your core and back. So all we're going to do with your hands and knees, which is where some of you will do your push-ups, we're going to come from this position. I want you to hold your stomach in. It's called bracing your core, and we're going to pull our shoulder blades apart and have a big stretch through the back, middle back, and drop down again. So it might feel a little bit funny or look a bit strange, but I'm trying to pull my shoulder blades apart and get a really big stretch across my middle back. And we can just do a hold on that one for around 10 or 15 seconds. And the last one that we're going to do today is a wrist extension. Again, I'm going to show you from the side so you can see better. So because we've got a hand balancing move, when you're doing push-ups and hand balances, your hands are always in extension. So that's where this is called extension in your wrist. It's the same position as the cat stretch. You're still holding in your stomach, holding your core, but this time we're going to lean forwards and just hold this position for 10 seconds. Or if that becomes too sore, you can just come back again and then go again. So whatever time frame feels helpful to you in these exercises, you can just push back and push forwards. And what this can do, that stretch can do, it can open up some of the tightness that you can have here through your forearms and into your hand and fingers. And that's going to help us when we progress into the rest of the exercises. So first exercise on the main activity is going to be push-ups. I have 3 push-up exercises and 1 hand balancing exercise. So what I'm going to do with your push-up is we're going to just start off on our knees basically before I show you the full version. I want your knees and hands to be just like I've got mine here. Your stomach again, we're going to brace the core. So I'm holding in my stomach. My elbows are pointing forwards, so the inside of my elbow is rotating. I'm pointing forwards, and this allows me as I drop down to the floor for my elbows to point down towards my hips. So I'm not doing a shape where I'm out here and it looks a little bit messy for my back. I'm kind of copying the extended child's pose position, but with my hands tucked in and my elbows pointing down towards my hips. And when I fully extend to the full shape, nothing changes. My elbows are rotated inwards and my elbows then point at the bottom of the push-up down towards my hips. So that's a bit more controlled than maybe you've seen a push-up before. You don't have to do them fast. The focus is really on controlling this movement, allowing your shoulders, elbows to get a nice big stretch through them as you push through, and really controlled pushing all the while whilst holding your core, which is why we did the cat stretch. Exercise number 2, a slight hand placement change. We're going to change to a diamond push-up. You can see with my hands here, I've made a little diamond shape. So this is exactly the same shape, elbows still rotating inwards and will point in towards my body, and it's just the same. Drop down, elbows pointing towards the hips. But this time you might find that you're more of at the top part of your chest is getting a workout. I'll just go into the full version. Now these two variations are really helpful to do together. If I'm doing a push-ups routine, I'll probably do 10 to 20 reps of each one and try and do 3 or 4, throw 3 or 4 into the mix. The next one's a bit harder, so I'm going to show you face on so you can really see what I'm doing. This next one here is called a typewriter push-up. So if you imagine someone typing on a typewriter, it's just slowly going across and then they hit it back. That's what we're going to do with this push-up. We're going to move to one side, go down, move to the other side, push up and backwards and forwards, and then change direction. So I'm going to show you this here just on my knees. So nothing's changed. I know you can't see my core this time, but I always hold my core like the cat stretch. And all I'm going to do with some wider hands this time is lean over, drop down, go across, come up, lean over, drop down, go across, come up. And you just continue on that rotation. You could do 5 going one way and 5 going the other. So I'll just change direction, but doing so in full push-up. So this time heading this way, down, across, up, across, down, across, up. And you can see even from me doing that, doing it in the full push-up shape is a lot harder. You have to work really hard to hold your core so your hips don't start going the wrong way. I'm going to focus why I like the core to be controlled just for a second here. If your hips come this way, doing a push-up, your lumbar spine is under unnecessary pressure. So that's the lower part of your spine. So for your general health and well-being, it's important to hold that stomach, create that shape, and your lower back is protected all the way through the push-up. Okay, the last exercise is an introduction to hand balances. So we're going to just enter into a deep squat. I'll just move back a bit. So we're just entering into a deep squat, okay? I'm going to place my hands just in front of me. And before I do the full movement, we're just going to lean forward. So you can see my knees are outside my elbow. I'm just going to lean forward as far as I can go. See how that feels. And just rock back again. If you're feeling more confident, you can lean forward, raise one foot, come back, lean forward, raise the other foot, have a little hold, and come back. And the big finish for this exercise, if you've had a go at those and you feel comfortable, we're going to lean forward and get to a point where we can just about take our tiptoes off, and we're just going to balance and try and hold out here for 10 seconds. And back. That hand balance is called a crow stand. It's quite a significant yoga move, but it's also the foundation of handstand training, which is something that I do. I can't do a handstand yet, or else you'd have seen it. But the hand balances are really important to develop control through your core and also develop strength through your forearms, wrist and hand. So that pretty much sums up your first introduction to calisthenics with pushing exercises and hand balances. In the subsequent videos, we're going to have a look at lower body exercises and then also some of the more exciting stuff, some static holds using the dip bar equipment here. I hope you've enjoyed the introduction. It's obviously going to be challenging if you've not done some of these exercises before, but what I really got from the process of calisthenics was being able to see something that I can't do and then breaking it down into smaller pieces and achieving them step by step. So it's like any target or training plan that you're trying to work towards. With calisthenics, you can take an exercise like just even the hand balance routine there. Okay, I can't balance on my hands. Maybe I can't even do the wrist extension stretch comfortably. So it's breaking down, going through the steps, and on the internet and maybe through some textbooks, depending on how you like to learn, there's loads of guides and tutorials to go through to help you break down those steps to learn the first movement and progress your way higher up the system. In terms of mental well-being, I always just find it so relaxing to come out. This is my little space in the garage. I like to come out into this space and quietly go through my exercises, take time to stretch, see how my body feels, and what I like to do with yoga and meditation, like check in with different parts of the body. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. We'll see you on the next video to deal with the lower body.